may be the greatest catch I've ever seen in my life.
Okay, so I know we are going to get some hate for this video, but I don't care. And I really need to give this disclaimer out here in saying, hey guys, the players that are going to be drafted in rounds 4, 5, 6, 7 of the NFL draft today, their historical hit rates are not great. I mean, you should not be expecting any player that's drafted in 4, 5, 6, 7 to make an impact their rookie season. You should not be expecting them to be an impact player for you in 2021. If you're making a bet on that, I promise you're going to be wrong way more often than you're right. Like literally take your favorite running back, your favorite wide receiver that is drafted today. I don't care who they are. Hit my DMs. If you want to bet any amount of money that they are a top 24 finisher at the position this upcoming season, I will lay that down and we can go at it, because I promise you the odds are very slim of that happening. So whenever I mention some players that haven't been drafted yet and you hit the comment section going, Mason, shut the hell up, we don't know the landing spots yet, you can't call them losers. No, they are losers. They did not get drafted in the second. They did not get drafted in the third. This is what it is. I'm sorry about it, but historical hit rates matter, especially at the running back position. Now, a quick announcement before we get into the video. If you are a member over on Patreon, if you are supporting the show, we do have our rookie dynasty rankings currently updated. Please go over there. Not only check them out, but leave a comment. Tell me what stands out to you. Let me know who you would be higher on, who you would be lower on, because I want that discussion. Those are my initial rankings. There will be an update to it soon. So if you push back on me and you go, Mason, you're wrong about this, and you give me a solid case on why I'm wrong, hey, maybe that impacts the next set of updated rankings. And lastly, I am saying that I am recording this approximately at about 1 a.m. right now, and I'm probably only going to get about 3 or 4 hours of sleep tonight. Please show some love on the channel, drop a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. It'll help us out a ton. And let's dive into it. And our first player we are going to be talking about will be Kenneth Gainwell. So no, we do not have the official landing spot yet. Yes, I know that you could possibly see him going to Atlanta at the top of the 4th, but we don't know yet. What we do know is we know the fact that they've made it through 100 total rounds, and Kenneth Gainwell still has not been drafted. And just think back last offseason. Think about the running backs that were drafted in round 3 last offseason. I mean, you had guys like Darrington Evans, who, yes, I understand that y'all are probably looking at me going, Mason, why the hell are you bringing up his name? And it's the fact I want to show y'all how bad this draft capital is for Kenneth Gainwell. The fact that a running back that nobody was interested in, and I know he went to a bad situation, but still nobody was interested in the prospect of Darrington Evans. He gets drafted in the 3rd round last year, where Kenneth Gainwell gets drafted in the 4th. I really wish that I pulled up our rookie draft guide right now. That way I could go through the historical hit rates of a 4th round rookie running back. But trust me, guys, it is very low. Kenneth Gainwell was someone that was sold to be a great receiving running back coming into the draft. Yes, he had his limitations. Yes, he wasn't exactly massive. Yes, he wasn't exactly extremely fast. Yet he was a good receiving running back coming out of Memphis. Now that he doesn't get the NFL draft capital, I think that pretty much if you're expecting him to do anything in 2021, you are wrong. You should not be drafting him in fantasy drafts. I guess if he goes to the Atlanta Falcons, you could spend a late round flyer on him, just going, hopefully he beats out Mike Davis for the job. But even if he gets drafted to the Atlanta Falcons at the top of the 4th round, at this point, I would expect that Mike Davis would be the running back that should be the starting guy in 2021. So these players like Kenneth Gainwell, I mean, you could throw up Chuba Hubbard in here as well. You can throw up Michael Carter Jr. And oh my God, I want to look at everybody closely right now. I told you Michael Carter Jr. was a bum. How many times was I getting hit up in the comment section telling me, Mason, you don't know what you're talking about with Michael Carter Jr. Mason, watch the tape, look at what this film grinder said. And I went, it doesn't matter. He's an undersized running back. He is not fast. In fact, he's actually very slow. He's Devin Singletary. What are y'all looking at? Please trust me on this. Yeah, Michael Carter Jr., now that he falls to day 3 of the NFL draft, I mean, RIP. I don't care if he turns into Philip Lindsay. I mean, he has no upside. What are y'all going to be expecting there with Michael Carter Jr.? Okay, so anyway, let's get to some veterans now. Let's go over to Melvin Gordon, the big-time loser. Now, Melvin Gordon, we did have ranked as a high-end running back 3 in our last set of 2021 overall rankings. And now I think he just completely falls off the earth because Javonte Williams coming in, not only is Javonte Williams coming in, but you actually have the team trading up to draft Javonte Williams. And if you look at what happens historically when teams not only draft a player, but instead trade up to get that player, generally they are going to be implemented in that team's game plan right away, because that's not a case of, hey, let's just take best player available. Maybe we don't necessarily love this guy. We weren't even thinking that he was going to be here, but we'll draft them. No, this is the case of, hey, this is our guy. We know exactly what we are going to do with him. Let's go and get him right now. That's what they did with Javonte Williams. So Javonte, I think, is going to come in his rookie season. He's going to make Melvin Gordon obsolete. This is going to be a committee, and I guess if Aaron Rodgers does find his way to Denver, then you could say there'd be enough overall volume for both Melvin Gordon and Javonte Williams to be viable in fantasy. But unless you have that one specific scenario happening, I think that Melvin Gordon is someone that should still get drafted, just because maybe in week 1, week 2, he can command a decent amount of touches, as well as we know that he will have the handcuff appeal if anything happens to Javonte Williams. But this is a situation where we're looking at Melvin Gordon and we go, you know what? You have not been good for a very long time. You have been inefficient for a very long time, dating all the way back to Los Angeles with the Chargers. So yeah, I mean, RIP Melvin Gordon, straight up taking a nosedive right now. All right, so now let's get over to a wide receiver that I have liked in the past, a wide receiver that I liked last year, to be honest. Let's go talk about Christian Kirk. Okay, so here with Christian Kirk, I mean, Rondale Moore coming in. And Rondale Moore looks just like a better version of Christian Kirk in every way. I mean, it looks like you got Christian Kirk, you shaved off the little fro that he has on the top, and you go, okay, man, now you're 5'7", and also we are going to jack you up with horse steroids. We are going to give you everything that we can. We're then going to put you in a lab. We are going to alter your DNA slightly, and we are going to make sure that you're one of the fastest humans on earth. I mean, that is what Rondale Moore is compared to Christian Kirk. Christian Kirk is a child compared to Rondale Moore. Rondale Moore is going to come in. Hopefully, he actually gets to play the slot. And I know that we see Cliff Kingsbury do some interesting things there. Hopefully, Larry Fitzgerald is 100% gone. We don't have to worry about him coming back to Arizona this next year. And if that's the case, Rondale Moore coming in, taking away slot duties from what would have been Christian Kirk's. So, yeah, Kirk goes from being a wide receiver that should have been a wide receiver 2 or 3 on one of the best offenses in football to now he's one of the wide receivers, wide receiver 3 or 4, because we know Hopkins is over him. We know Rondale Moore's over him given the recent team investment. And also, this team decided to spend $8 million to bring A.J. Green in this year. So I think you could look at that as well and go, hey, you know what? Christian Kirk was on the team before Cliff Kingsbury got there. Cliff Kingsbury's never showed to really like Christian Kirk. Maybe Kirk is the 4th option on this team. I think that at this point, his fantasy odds to succeed in 2021 should be extremely low. Okay, so now our next player, I will be honest, I really didn't know what to make of it as soon as we saw the draft pick, but now that we've had some time to think, I think you have to call him a faller. It's going to be Robby Anderson. And Robby Anderson, I thought, was going to be a player I was targeting in drafts this year. I thought Robby Anderson was going to be someone that we were pursuing because we remember he was an elite option at the beginning of the season in 2020. If y'all remember what Carolina was doing at the beginning of the year, they were using DJ Moore a little bit more as the vertical threat, and they were using Robby Anderson a little closer to the line of scrimmage, a little bit more in that flanker role. And that was surprising because coming into the season, you expected that Robby Anderson was going to be the guy with an extremely high average depth of target running behind the safeties. And they did make that transition halfway through the year. Halfway through the year, you saw just Matt Rule and Joe Brady go, you know what? We have these roles flipped. Let's make sure that we fix this. Let's put Robby Anderson in the field stretching role. Then let's have DJ Moore be the flanker. Let's have him running the crossing routes. Let's have him running the slants. Now you have Terrace Marshall coming in. And I do not think that Terrace Marshall makes Robby Anderson completely irrelevant. I want to make sure everybody understands that. But I want to make sure everybody also understands that Terrace Marshall is a fantastic wide receiver. Coming out of LSU, he checks every single prospect profile box. So I think he comes in. I think he sees targets right away as long as he's healthy. Another thing that I want to point out here is the fact that he fell a lot further in the NFL draft than most people thought Terrace Marshall was going to go. So maybe you have to question that something's going on with the medicals that we don't know about, but we can't say so for sure just because we don't know for sure. So at this point, I think that we look at it, we go, you know what, a great wide receiver coming in, probably not going to be taking a ton away from DJ Moore. So the only option in terms of the target pecking order would be Robby Anderson. Okay, so now let's get over to an obvious running back, a guy that I literally made a video about on the Dynasty channel saying that he was intriguing just a couple days ago, and oh god, that video just completely aged poorly. But anyway, Raheem Mostert here. Okay, so you have Trey Sermon coming in, and I know a lot of people are going to want to make the argument that Mostert's still going to be the starting running back, and I agree. I think that Kyle Shanahan is going to do some kind of committee with this. We know that Shanahan really never lets us know who exactly the running back one is going to be. But if I had to make a bet on who it was, I would go Trey Sermon. And that's because you see the team investment. That's what we talk about all the time. Trey Sermon gets the investment of a third-round NFL draft pick. And if you look historically, that's a range where those running backs should get a crack at the starting job. Now, whether or not they're going to be successful with that is yet to be determined. But nonetheless, they bring in Trey Sermon. And Raheem Mostert, before this, looked like he possibly was going to be one of the best value running backs in the entire NFL, in the entire fantasy football landscape, just because he was playing on one of the best offenses and there was not that much competition outside of Jeff Wilson Jr. But now, no, you have Trey Sermon coming in. Raheem Mostert just has to take a back seat now. Sucks to say, but Trey Sermon is probably going to be the guy. Now, lastly, let's bring up an under-the-radar loser. Let's bring up Mike Gesicki after the Miami Dolphins decided to take a tight end in the third round. And here, the reason I want to bring up Gesicki is for a couple things. A, I want to talk about what we actually saw with the 6th overall pick by the Miami Dolphins. I think a big reason the Dolphins actually traded up to get that 6th overall selection is I think that they were mapping it out slightly and they were going, you know what, there's a chance we get Kyle Pitts. I think that they made a play to try to get Kyle Pitts, thinking he would fall to 6, thinking that Atlanta would possibly take Justin Fields. Then you have Cincinnati taking the top offensive tackle and then them landing Kyle Pitts. So I think that move just slightly shows that maybe they're not in love with Mike Gesicki, and then it confirms it whenever they go and draft a tight end in the third round. Not only do they do that, but they also take a wide receiver in Jalen Waddle in the first, and Waddle does not profile to see a ton of targets, but still the targets are going to have to come from somewhere, and it's not like they're just going to have a ton of random new ones that pop up for Miami. So Mike Gesicki, yeah, he's very athletic, and he actually has a ton of upside. I mean, Mike Gesicki was someone that I liked coming out of Penn State because you looked at him, he has the size to go along with it. He's one of the best athletes in football. I mean, if you talk about size-adjusted athleticism, Mike Gesicki is at the very top of the league, and he's also had flashes. He's also been productive in spurts. He just hasn't been able to put it all together, which is sad to say, but it's something that we need to point out. So here with Mike Gesicki, I think that you have to call him a loser. They had a top wide receiver. They showed that they really don't have that much faith in him. And yeah, he's going to be sliding down. Okay, now thank you guys. I really hope y'all enjoyed this video. Of course, like I said, guys, I am staying up way too late and really just destroying myself to make this video for y'all. So please go down there, help me out, drop a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. And over on Patreon, you are going to find our updated rookie rankings. Please go over there, leave me a comment, let me know what you're thinking. Let me know who you think I have too high, who you think I have too low. And yeah, that's it. Maybe I'll make a video tomorrow. If not, I will see y'all the next time. I want to give a big thank you for everyone joining the flock. Devin Strom, Alejandro, Mark, Jared, Caleb, and IV of Lean, Randotron, Micah, Larry, and Tyler.